here in the world. This place here in the world, in the center of Nottingham, in the Lace Market, this building, which is us all together building Sangha. Yeah, that's what we're doing right here. I'm getting a little bit distracted. So, okay. Move it a bit. Okay. Oh, I see. You're in the picture. That's all right. Okay, so yeah, there'll be well, Kusala Devi will unfold more about that, talk a bit more about what it is that we're doing here, what we want to do as well. Basically a vision for this place. And this place is nothing without people, is it? We say that often, but it really is the case. I mean, an empty building. You don't know whether you're going or not.
Really sorry, that's my fault. I was recording it to my computer and not the cloud, so I had to start again. Sorry.
It's fine. I don't mind. It's just funny. I'm very easily distractible tonight. Anyway, so yeah, the second half will be we really focus on what we want to do more of and what this place really signifies. Again, I'm really delighted to see us, many of us here and online, and the Sangha in Nottingham is really, really growing. It's very alive. It's full of energy, full of inspiration, and I just want to rejoice in all of us here online and all those in the Sangha who can't make it tonight, that we are actually building this network of friendships, of friends practicing, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's just not just about hanging out together and having a nice time. It's also really about deepening practice together. And yeah, it's a wonderful Sangha. So I just want to rejoice. Thank you for that. Yeah. And I really want to thank Kusala Devi for 16th of January this year, 21, the 16th of January, we had a ritual with Kusala Devi becoming officially the chair of the Nottingham Sangha, the Nottingham Buddhist Centre. And what a delightful person you are, really. Just the last 2 days I was in the centre with Kusala Devi. We've been working together and with others as well, but it's just so delightful to be around you. I didn't think, work. It's like little chats in between. It's great. And so I really rejoice in what a friend you are to me, but also to the whole Sangha, because that's what you are. You're efficient, you're light, you're fun, you're creative, and more than that, you're a really deep practitioner of the Dharma. You care deeply, and that shows itself. So I just want to really rejoice in you. And thank you so much for taking on that role of guiding us in a way. You're taking a lead to leap forward, hopefully. Yeah. And jump high and deep, dive deep, jump high, that sort of thing. Yeah. So thank you. In this year, I mean, it's been COVID, lockdown. So only now we're starting to experience in the centre what it's like to be back and have Kusala Devi, for Kusala Devi as well, to actually be in the centre. Everything's been online, isn't it? So that's been really weird, because you're very much a connector, you know. So there, it's great you've done it anyway, and hopefully more in person to come. Yeah, but I think that's really courageous to start that kind of role when in lockdown, you know, or in COVID times. So yeah, fantastic. At the end of the meditation of the metta, I will start the Maitri mantra. So it's the metta mantra. in a way, or officially actually is the mantra of the Bodhisattva or the Buddha Maitreya, but we call it the Maitri mantra. And during that, Kusaladevi will take that Vajra behind her on that red cloth, a Vajra. I don't know whether everybody knows what a Vajra is, but she'll take that and put it ritually on the shrine. And that Vajra was the symbol that was used in the ritual on the 16th of January this year when Kusaladevi became the chair. And that was online, so she was online, so she couldn't put this Vajra on the shrine then. So that's going to happen now. Very significant, actually. It's her sort of showing that commitment, you know, witnessed by us all. And what happened is that Aryavachin was here in the building. So he placed that Vajra on behalf of Kusaladevi on his shrine in his room. He couldn't put it on this shrine because that was Kusaladevi's ritual, you see what I mean? So he's been all that time sitting quite on a beautiful shrine in Aryavachin's room, sitting there waiting for this moment. Yeah, so yeah. So Vajra is, just very brief, is the strongest power, the strongest energy that you can find in the universe anywhere. It's in Buddhism, it means the power of the good, yeah, and it's held with the strongest energy that's there. It can defeat anything, everything that holds us back. The Vajra in hand succeeds, yeah. So that's Vajra. So there we go. Quite a symbol to put on the shrine. I'm gonna leave that there. Just to, I'm gonna do a reading at the beginning of the Metta Bhavana. This is one that Kusaladevi chose. It's a reading from the Vimalakirti Nidesa, a Mahayana text, sutta. So it's full of kind of miraculous things. Mahayana suttas are full of amazing things happening from other universes, yeah. And this particular one, the story here in chapter 1 of the Vimalakirti Nidesa is about the Buddha being surrounded by 8,000 disciples. Yeah, he's sitting in a park in Vasali, and there are 32,000 bodhisattvas who come in from other places. Yeah, bodhisattvas are Buddhas on their way to full Buddhahood. Yeah, 32,000. 10,000 gods, Brahmas from other universes. 12,000, is it Sakras, also kind of gods from other universes. And then lots of other powerful gods. So they've all gathered, yeah? They might not all be visible, they're all there. So imagine the Buddha sitting there with all these beings. And then he's going to teach, so they all want to hear it. I love that about Mahayana suttas, that it's like going beyond our own kind of limited worldview, isn't it? And self-view. It's like, who knows? Yeah. And then the piece I'm going to read is where then the Lichavi is a city nearby, and 500 young people come with the Bodhisattva. His name is Ratnakara. He leads 500 Lichavi youths with him to the Buddha, and they're all carrying parasols, a symbol of beauty, you know, practice, you could say enlightenment in a way. Or they're carrying parasols, each one of them. And when they come to the Buddha, those parasols just blend into, merge into one big canopy, yeah? And the canopy covers a lot, you'll hear. And there's beautiful symbolism. It's like we each individually bring something very precious. We bring ourselves to the Sangha and the Dharma. And together, collective, it becomes much more than that small parasol that we carry, or big parasol, you know, but it's that beautiful, beautiful image, yeah. And that's how we create, with this center, a Buddha field, which is another term that people might not know. A Buddha field is a sphere of influence from a Buddha. Yeah, so you could say rippling out into the world. Okay, I'll read and then we might have time for some meditation. Okay, and the ritual. So here's the Buddha sitting on his lion throne, beginning to teach the Dharma. Thereupon the Lichavi Bodhisattva Ratnakara, with 500 Lichavi youths, each holding a precious parasol made of 7 different kinds of jewels, came forth from the city of Vasaili and presented himself at the grove of Amrapali. Each approached the Buddha, bowed at his feet, circumambulated him clockwise 7 times, lay down his precious parasol in offering, and withdrew to one side. As soon as all these precious parasols had been laid down, suddenly, by the miraculous power of the Buddha, they were transformed into a single precious canopy, so great that it formed a covering for this entire billion-world galaxy. The surface of the entire billion-world galaxy was reflected in the interior of the great precious canopy, where the total content of this galaxy could be seen. Limitless mansions of suns, moons, and stellar bodies, the realms of the Devas, Nagas, Yakshas, Gandharvas, Asuras, Garudas, Kinnaras, and Maharagas, as well as the realms of the 4 Maharajas, the king of mountains, Mount Sumeru, Mount Himadri, Mount Muchalinda, Mount Mahamuchalinda, Mount Gandhamardhana, Mount Ratnaparvata, Mount Kalaparvata, Mount Chakravada, Mount Mahachakravada. All the great oceans, rivers, bays, torrents, streams, brooks, and springs. Finally, all the villages, suburbs, cities, capitals, provinces, and wildernesses. All this could be clearly seen by everyone, and the voices of all the Buddhas of the 10 directions could be heard proclaiming their teachings of the Dharmas in all the worlds, the sounds reverberating in the space beneath the great precious canopy. As the vision of the magnificent miracle effected by the supernatural power of the Lord Buddha, the entire host was ecstatic, enraptured, astonished, delighted, satisfied, and filled with awe and pleasure. They all bowed down to the Tathagata, withdrew to one side with palms pressed together, and gazed upon him with fixed attention. So imagining that we are part of that audience of the Buddha, sitting with him and all the others in that park. Inspired by the Buddha's teaching of the Dhamma. And at the same time, sitting here in the center of Nottingham, in this very place, at the feet of the Buddha here on the shrine, together as Sangha. So allowing in our heart that connection, to feel that connection with others in the Sangha. And I'm just going to ring a bell for each stage of the Metta Bhavana. And just encouraging you to bring in to each stage somebody from the Sangha here. Metta. And now we feel the center and the world with metta, chanting the Maitri mantra. You might want to wear a mask if you have one with you, and otherwise just chant quietly. And then during that chanting of the mantra, Kushala Devi will place the wonderful Vajra on the shrine. O Maitri, Maha Maitri, Maitri Swaha. 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 O Maitri, Maha Maitri, Maitri So feel free to sit here, make an offering, or have tea downstairs. We'll be back by 25 past for the next part.
Yes, so yeah, I've had a little look to see who's here on Zoom. It's very lovely to see you all. And I just wanted to mention Aryavachan as well, who's very sorry that he can't be here, actually. He said he would have loved to be here, but he's on a Mitra Conveners week at Padmaloka Retreat Centre. So yeah, he couldn't be here for this evening, but I just wanted to sort of mention that's why he's the Vajra, because obviously he's been guarding it like in his room. So he said, oh, this would be a great evening to like bring the Vajra out again and, you know, put it on the shrine. So yeah, it's a lovely thing to do. So yeah, I'm just going to hand to Jerry actually before we get started. So Jerry's got a few announcements for what's happening, what's coming up in the Sangha.
Thank you, Kusala Devi. A few announcements this evening. So following on from the mass conversion and the Doctor and Baker evening, we've got India month in November. And next week on Sangha night, we're going to hear from people in our Sangha about their connections with India. So that will lead up to a special Sangha Day, which will be celebrated with Friends from India, which is on November the 20th. This Friday is the Young Buddhists in person at the centre, which I think has been quite some time. The first in-person meeting, I think, for quite a long time. And that is at 7:30 on Friday. Sunday the 31st, we're going to be exploring the path of commitment, which is an event that's going to be led by Kemasiri Aryavachan, looking specifically at how to practice further with Triatma and focusing on why, what and how you actually become a teacher. Two will be talking about their experiences. And that is on Sunday 10 till 1, which you need to book on the website to come to that. If all the further information, everything's on the website. I think that's it. I'm handing over to Rachel.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry. So I just have two quick announcements from the Earth Sangha Circle, which is a new circle that I mentioned briefly last week. We just have a couple of things coming up because of COP26. There's a couple of events that are quite important that we wanted to make sure you knew about and invite you to join in. So one you may have heard about already, it's a global day of action that's being planned by the COP26 Coalition, which is a group, it's basically an umbrella group. It's bringing lots of different groups who want to basically express their support for some real change to happen. They're going to be meeting at the Forest Recreation Ground at 1 p.m. on the 6th of November, which is a Saturday, marching down Mansfield Road at 2 p.m. and there's going to be a rally and talks in the Market Square at 3 p.m. So we'll be there for that. There'll be several of us coming. If you want to join us, then please email the center and we'll bring you along with us, or else just go along on your own as well. It's a good event. The second thing is something we're doing. So we're going to start doing a daily meditation vigil during COP26. So between 12 and 1 each day in the Market Square in front of the Council House, we'll be sitting to, well, basically to raise awareness of the importance of this time and to give us a chance to practice together during that. So yeah, we'll be inviting some other faith groups as well if they want to join us. So yep, basically I will be there every day from the 1st to the 12th between 12 and 1. So if you want to come, just come along. But please also do email if you're planning to come because it helps us to kind of know who's coming. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, hope to see some of you there. Thanks. Yeah, you'll need to bring your own stuff, but yeah, feel free to email with any questions as well if you just, yeah. Brilliant.
Okay, great. So yeah, just a big thank you to Kay Masiri for that lovely introduction, very beautiful, very generous introduction, and the lovely reading as well. it's quite interesting. I was sort of I've been writing my talk for a few weeks, just thinking about this evening, and really wanted an image that would kind of work with what I'm trying to say. And I think it was only about last week or so, or a few days ago maybe, that I remembered this image of the parasols. And me and Rachel have been working quite closely together on the fundraising appeal that I'll be doing later this evening. And I said to Rachel, oh, I think I've got this image of the parasols. And she was like, oh yeah, I've been thinking of that lately as well, for like different reasons. So yeah, that was really lovely. It felt like that just sort of really fit. So I'll say more about that as we go along. But yeah, I wanted to start really with that image from the Vimla-Kirti Nadesha, and these parasols is sort of very evocative, these parasols made of 7 beautiful materials. And in the sutta, like the image actually is traditionally, the parasol represents sort of the bodhicitta in each of those beings, in each of those sort of youths. So the bodhicitta, bodhi means awakening, and chitta is heart mind. So it's the heart mind towards awakening. But actually the bodhicitta is that, it's, well, we sort of translate it as the will towards enlightenment. So it's the moment where there's so much momentum in your practice that you cannot but want to practice for the benefit of all beings and move in that direction. It's a very, yeah, it's much more than that as well. It's sort of, it's quite a mysterious thing to describe, but a very beautiful sort of aspiration. But actually the parasols could also be seen as just our own dharmic sort of aspirations. So we might be very, very different people, and our parasols or even our umbrellas might be very different offerings, those parasols that we have. So we might each want to offer something different, but we do have the same aspiration. So in that way, we're all part of the same vision. So yeah, there's this mysterious goal in a way that those 500 youths are moving towards. And obviously in that sutta, really, it is the bodhicitta, or even, you know, the Buddha, obviously there surrounded by all those beings. Yeah, so it is quite a sort of mysterious image kind of being drawn towards the Buddha in that way. They all have are a unifying force between them. And then of course the Buddha sort of transforms them into this one beautiful large parasol. And in a way, that is Sangha at its highest, the fact that there's this collective force of liberation for all beings from suffering. That's sort of, if you like, the highest thing in the universe that is bigger and covers the whole universe and beyond. So sort of like something about when we come, the potential of something much bigger than just what we're bringing as well. So Rachel had written the blurb for this evening. There was a lovely bit that she put in. Space market. It is a mysterious and magical thing that only comes into being as we gather together to practice as a spiritual community. It is richer for each one of us being a part of it. And I just really love that. So I think those of you who know me know that what's really important to me is that the uniqueness and individuality of different beings and what we can all bring. I just really love that. It's something that's very inspiring to me. And I love sort of people being themselves and offering and bringing whatever skills and whatever values they have and sort of sharing them with the Sangha. That to me is just very beautiful, kind of people just being themselves. Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully what we're doing here is together we're creating something which isn't just for us either, it is for the benefit of others. Be that our family and friends, or the people who we live with, the people we're around, be that the people in Nottingham, or be that practicing for the benefit of all beings, just having the aspiration to sort of ease the suffering of all beings. So another lovely image came to me, a much more down-to-earth image than the parasol one, of when we were on our Sangha retreat together at Lockerbrook a couple of weeks ago or something, I don't know. So yeah, some of you here were on that retreat. And at the beginning of the retreat, we were a little bit late getting there because of cooked, and Arivacha and I were starting to build this shrine. So we had to transform this space at Lockabrook, which was basically as an outdoor centre. We had to take all this material and transform it into a shrine room. And so we had just like boxes and boxes of things from the shrine cupboard here, just like all over the floor. And me and Arivacha are kind of like trying to vision, like, how do we build this shrine? And then people started arriving on the retreat, and we said to Gareth, like, if you just send up like as many people as possible up to the shrine room when they arrive, and like we'll just find a job for them up there. One by one, and we were all just together, just creating this absolutely beautiful, stunning shrine that we had. And like, I was just totally in my element. It was just like that for me, one of those moments of people just like working together, the harmony, the beauty, the sort of what we were creating together. And sort of more coming through in that moment than just being on the retreat. Yeah, so that was just a really lovely image that sort of stuck with me, and particularly because, like Hamasiri said, I started this role just over a year ago, and a lot of it has been online. So to actually be physically around people and like handing someone a safety pin, just like, yes, this is it. Yeah. So I think the Nottingham Buddhist Centre, I think what we can be at our best is an offering to the people in Nottingham. So yeah, I've been in the post a year now as chair, and on the council we've been really trying to clarify this vision and what it is we want to focus on together moving forward. So Kay Masiri mentioned that the centre, in a way, we are growing, the Sangha's growing. So the centre's definitely in a period of growth despite the lockdown. So we've continued to attract new Sangha members, but we've also maintained the sort of quite the Sangha, large sort of Sangha involvement that we already had. But just to sort of point that out, we've now got 2 men's study groups and 4 women's study groups. So they've doubled in the last nights have been consistently full. We're having more events, so we now have regular pujas, more weekend events. Yeah, so we're definitely in this period of growth. And I think, yeah, just rejoicing really in Gareth. So Gareth and I have been working very closely together to also just like make sure that all the foundational stuff is in place here in the centre. So that's been quite a thing to hold that. It's like we're growing and we're also trying to make sure the foundations are there. And I think we've done. Yeah, but I just wanted to share with you all this evening really these overarching themes from the vision. So as a council, there are these sort of 3 main areas that we have decided sort of form our vision, if you like, for the centre. So the first of those is supporting deepening practice within . The second one is facing outward and responding to the world. And the third is making the Dharma accessible to more people, so having a diverse and inclusive Sangha. So I'm not going to say anything about the specifics as such tonight, that's going to come soon. So really we as a council still want to work out what our priorities are going forward. But we're aware that there's really a lot of positive energy in the Sangha at the moment, and we really want to sort of meet and support that. So a little bit about each of these areas. So supporting deepening practice within the Sangha. So in a way, because we all have this aspiration, which ultimately that aspiration is to go beyond self-clinging and sort of we need to move beyond being just a group. So Sangharakshita talks about moving from being a group to being a true individual. And this work has to be done in relation to each other. That sort of work of stopping sort of either conforming with or rebelling against the group. We do have to do that around one another. That's where we have to kind of do that work of becoming an individual. And then through that, we can then become a Sangha at its highest level. So I mentioned earlier the bodhicitta, this will towards enlightenment, and it's said that it's more likely for this to be able to arise in a spiritual community, and in a way out of the intensive sort of interaction of true individuals. But I was, yeah, okay. Might have been this, I don't know if that was like slightly unplugged. Okay. So I'm just going to talk a little bit. Is that better? Can you hear me better on Zoom now?
We could hear you, Kusla Devi. It just was cutting out every so often.
Check it and see.
How's that? Can you hear me on Zoom now?
Yeah, the sound's good, Kusla Devi. It was just
The
cutting out.
internet connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the connection. Okay, sorry, I'll carry on, but you'll have to fill the gaps yourself. Ah, okay. Maybe you didn't hear that, but Guy made a suggestion that if you all on Zoom turn your videos off, it might increase the bandwidth and it might just help you be able to hear a bit better. Okay, great. Everyone's disappeared. I just hope that you're all still there. Okay, great. So in order to reach out and sort of, if you like, be available to people in Nottingham if they wanted to access the Buddhist Centre, it's really great if we can come from a place of insight, depth, and real sort of spiritual death and spiritual rebirth. So this So those conditions have to be in place in order for our practice to deepen so that we can then share that with others. So that means things like meditation practice, friendship. So I love this image of like precious or like stones in a jar with sharp edges. And when you kind of shake them around, they get smoothed off. And it's like, in a way, that's what we're trying to do in the Sangha. We're kind of trying to rattle around against each other and smooth ourselves off. I really love that image. Providing contexts that give more intensive situations for people for Dharma practice. Strengthening the connections between order members in Nottingham. So if you like, sort of order members and then the Mitra Sangha being at the heart. So strengthening connections between order members and Mitras in the Sangha. And also supporting this exploration of where Dharma practice meets current world issues. So this comes a bit more into the next theme really, but where does our Dharma practice sort of meet current world issues? And how can we make sure that there's still depth there as well as sort of facing outward? That was a whistle-stop tour of deepening practice. So then moving on to the second area, so there's facing outward and responding to the world. So I was thinking again back to this image of Vimalakirti and all these youths sort of being drawn towards the Buddha. And apparently they're all sort of very beautiful. So the Buddha sees that there's something bigger there than their beauty. So he sees there's also this sort of aspiration, which is bigger than the beauty that they sort of present externally in a way. But I think it is possible that people in the same way could be drawn towards the three jewels represented by the Buddhist Centre. So obviously we're not the Buddha, but this building and this Sangha could sort of represent something that people can move towards with their aspiration. Become more visible in Nottingham, and in a way sort of take the 3 jewels out to more communities who might be able to benefit and might not even know that we're here. So on the council, we've been speaking a bit about this, that there's so many communities that might actually benefit that, yeah, that don't know about the Buddhist Centre. So yeah, one way is perhaps outreach, like moving out to those particular communities and offering meditation in communities that might not be able to access the Buddhist Centre here. But also that we as a Buddhist Centre would like to integrate more into the sort of local Nottingham community as well. So Rachel and I have been going to some interfaith events in Nottingham, and it's been really moving actually, just linking up with different communities, with the universities, just sort of getting a sense of like the community in Nottingham and us being a part of that community. And then the third kind of area in this one is responding to current world issues. So Rachel mentioned COP26, which is this conference around the climate emergency. In a way, there's so many sort of current world issues that are very, very, I don't know, it just feels, that feels really strong, doesn't it, at the moment in the world? So there's something about how can we really face outward and sort of share our practice, which might be of benefit to some of those areas. Yeah, so then this third area of making the Dharma accessible to more people, so having a diverse and inclusive Sangha. So this one, in terms of that image of the parasol, I was thinking about that, the fact that all the parasols might be different. So the bodhicitta is sort of automatically bodhicitta is like beyond all of whatever it meets, and it's equally attractive to all beings. So in a way, it's like, that's like the Dharma is for everyone. The Dharma just doesn't discriminate. It's the truth, if you like, so it doesn't discriminate. But that's obviously a very sort of high ideal. And in the meantime, we do need to make sure that we are accessible to everyone. Yeah, there's so much more I could say about this, but we just want to make sure that as a Sangha, we're welcoming to all and just aware of those areas that we might not be so conscious of how people might not be able to engage who would otherwise benefit from engaging with the Dharma. So we want to ensure the Sangha is welcoming for all, and also ensure that the Sangha is reflective of the diversity in the city. So it is a very diverse city in many ways, Nottingham, and we'd like the Sangha to be more reflective of that. So that's those sort of 3 overarching areas of the vision that we have. And yeah, many of you will remember we launched this, what we call the circles model, the nested circles, to create new sort of teams, or we're calling them circles, but really they're teams, but they're circles. And the reason for doing that was that so that we wanted each circle to really feel that everyone in those circles is contributing to and able to shape the direction of the Buddhist Centre. So it's this sort of collaborative way of us working together and just sort of showing really that we're all part of the Sangha and the Sangha belongs to us all. And yeah, this only works because of so much generosity from so many people. So, you know, just looking at how many people are involved in those circles, it's amazing. It's really, really moving, just like how many people are giving so much to the centre. Yeah, it's very beautiful. Yeah, so really sort of sharing this vision with you, I'm sort of, those of us on the council are kind of asking for you in the Sangha to support us with this vision, to make it a reality and to kind of bring it more into being. So hopefully if we have a little bit of time later, we will have a little bit of a Q&A if you want to ask any particular questions. So there's quite a few of us that are on the council, either here in person or on Zoom, and we'll just be able to answer any questions that you've got. But just before that, I'm going to say a little bit about money, really. So or a Pure Land. Yeah, well, we kind of are, aren't we? But also we're not. So this vision does need to be played out in people, in buildings, in places. So we do need to bring it right back down to like what we're actually doing here in this building. And we all know that the Dharma can really impact people's lives. But I guess that's why everyone's here, because we felt that the Dharma in some way has affected our lives, benefited our lives. I love some of those stories from the time of the Buddha, where people would meet the Buddha turned upside down, or something in their consciousness would just totally be moved, shifted, their hearts would open, they'd be liberated. And there's just those beautiful sort of expressions of gratitude towards the Buddha. Yeah, I just find those very moving, just those sort of outpourings of gratitude. Yeah, and many of you will know that the Dana economy is really important to us here. So the ideal to give what you can and take what you need. And that's a really, really principal sort of foundation of the Buddhist Center. So we're trying to get away from an exchange economy and really actively just practice generosity. And it takes a bit of practice to get a sense of what that actually means, I think. Generosity can sort of break down those perceived barriers between us. Yeah, in those moments where I was describing, like when we're building that shrine together, it's just like there's just this flow. There's kind of not separate beings doing our own thing. There's just this sort of flow happening, and I'm sure you all will have experienced that. It's just really lovely when you're kind of in that flow, just doing something for others. Yeah. So giving can be beautiful, that sense of interconnectedness, community, not just wanting things for ourselves, but seeing how we might impact others. That's a very beautiful idea. And what's really lovely about this ideal of give what you can is it really means give what you can. So it's a practice to work out what can you give. And I think that's quite challenging for us, because well, we all have our own conditioning around what it is that we're able to give, around giving, around receiving. So it's definitely a practice to work out what is it that I can give and that I'm able to give and that I want to give. So if we give a lot and others give what we perceive as less or as little, can we trust that that's the right thing for both of us, that all of us in the Sangha are just giving what we can? And if we give less and others give more in some way, can we trust that we're not being judged or looked down on or blamed? So that's really the practice, really. It's just like trusting we're all giving what we can. This sense of open-handedness. And yeah, I just experienced that all the time from so many of you, like just giving in all sorts of different ways, which is just really beautiful. We all have our own unique offerings. So me and Kaimasiri, as she mentioned, we were working in the centre yesterday, and there were so many people doing all sorts of different things for the centre. So me, Kaimasiri and Gareth and Mel had met as a centre team. So we were having our sort of centre team meeting. Zach was downstairs working, doing some work towards the intro course and other things. Rachel, who's our treasurer, came in and had a meeting around the budget. Ed and Keith were fixing the floor in the community. Connor came in and offered to do a talk on Sangama. That had been for him on Monday. Yeah, it was just wonderful. I was sat writing this particular talk, and I was just sat in the midst of all these people giving all of this, and it was just like, oh, that was the other thing. Jerry and Sue had been in, like, cleaning the centre, and I'd been like it really made me smile how clean the toilet was. It's just like, wow, like all of this is happening because everyone's just giving. It's really beautiful. Yeah. So I know that so many of you give so much to the centre, and we really, really value that. Like that is what the centre is. It's just everyone giving what they can. But we do need money as well to make this vision sort of come into being. So Satchamega reminded me, I think she's online somewhere. Satchamega reminded me the other day about Ratnagosha gave a talk here maybe a few years ago, and he was speaking about money as energy. And I've heard this idea a few times, but we were both saying, oh yeah, that's really inspiring, isn't it? Like when you actually start to think that money is energy, it allows things flow, a kind of give and take, where you're not like grasping onto it or giving it all away and then feeling like, but just allowing a really free flow of money as energy to enable things to happen. It's just yeah, it's just a different way of relating to money, I think. And I was thinking about that here in terms of the way that we give, like, and the money that we are able to give. So it's like, this place is yours, it's all of ours, and it's not any of ours either. So there's that thing of like, we're giving what we can, so we're creating something that is kind of ours and not ours, if you see what I mean. And what we want to do in the centre is just keep offering as much as we can so that people can meet us and benefit from the 3 jewels. So hopefully some people will be attracted to the centre as those Lichavan youths were attracted to the Buddha. So I'm going to share some practical things about the money situation in the centre, the financial situation, because I know that for some people that's really important to know the kind of practicals and how we're doing. So I've not got figures. So about 1/3 of the income of the Buddhist Centre comes from the community, the rent from the community. About 1/3 of our income comes from regular giving, so people who give standing orders and donor box monthly donations. And then the other 1/3 really is from all of the one-off donations that we get at the centre. So that's roughly how it's split: community, regular gifts, and one-off donations. And nearly 3/4 of our costs go towards supporting those of us that are supported by the centre. So at the moment, that's just changed fairly recently. At the moment, that's myself, Aryavachin, Gareth, who's the centre manager, and Mel, who's our bookkeeper. So Kay Masiri's just stopped receiving any support because she's receiving her pension. So it's a really beautiful example of generosity from Kay Masiri. She still wants to be a Mitra convener full time, but she doesn't want to take any money for that. So that's just a really beautiful, yeah, just a beautiful offering from Kay Masiri. And yeah, we're very, very grateful for that. It makes a huge difference to the centre. So yeah, Kay Masiri would like to continue as Mitra convener for a year or so. And yeah, that's not because we asked her to do that. Kay Masiri just said to us, look, I've decided I just want to stop taking money now. So yeah, it's just very, it's just very typical really of Kay Masiri's generosity. But we will at some point want to financially support another Mitra convener, another women's Mitra convener. So we'd like to try and sort of keep that money as, if you like, for another Mitra convener. And the rest of our costs are running costs and maintenance costs for the buildings, and some donations that we make also to other sort of different. So as well as sort of receiving money, we're also trying to give money as well. And of course, you'll all know that we're not about making profit. That's kind of not our aim. So yeah, really, we do have this vision of growth and abundance. So as well as sort of growing and reaching more people, we'd also like to offer those who are being financially supported at the centre the living wage. So those of us that are supported on the living wage at the moment. So it'll take a bit of time to move towards being able to do that. We can't afford to sort of make the jump straight away, but gradually we'd like to move towards doing that. So that was a decision made on the council. And obviously that was made mostly by those of us who aren't supported, you know, and that was something that other people said they'd like to sort of move towards. So yeah, we just want to ask for your help to make this vision possible. And also to see, because we are such a small team and we have these high ambitions and this high vision, we'd like to see if it is possible to maybe financially support another order member to come and join us on the team. And yeah, we just want to really do more. So we currently receive £1,950 a month. That's in regular donations. And what we'd really love to do is increase that to £3,000. So an additional £1,050 every month. So each of you can make a difference towards that vision. At the moment, we've got 64 people who very generously give regularly to the centre, and their amounts between £5 a month and £100 a month. So thank you very, very much. Like, it makes a huge difference. So thank you so much to all of you that give. So looking at these amounts, we realised that if everyone who's giving regularly could give an extra £10 a month, and if 15 new people gave £25 a month, then we'd be able to meet that target. So that's just to give you a sense of how much we might need. And of course, some people might not be able to give, and that is totally fine. You're giving in so many ways already, as I've already said. But some of you might be able to give more as well than we've suggested. So really it is that practice of like giving what you can and just working out, just sort of working out for yourself, what is it that you're able to give. So just finally, I'd just like to encourage you to give now if you can. So hopefully there'll be a link being popped somewhere by Mandy, I think, in the Zoom box. If you're giving on DonorBox regularly, then you can change the amount that you give in your DonorBox account, and that'll let us know at the centre that you've done that. And if you give by standing order and want to increase that, then that's wonderful as well. But do email us and let us know at the centre that you've done that, just so we can keep an eye on how we're doing, how much we've made. And then if you're here in the centre now, Zach's going to just pop round some envelopes that have got the details on with the standing order details, and just in a way, just that vision that I've shared with you, it just kind of outlines that. And you will all be getting an email tomorrow, probably tomorrow, if not the day after. Yeah, so you'll receive an email there that just sort of shares this vision. And I just want to say a big thank you to Mandy Hibbert, who I don't think she's here this evening, but she's created this very beautiful graphic of our Buddhist centre, which just it shares those three strands of the vision that we're trying to do. So it's a beautiful image of the centre that she's drawn, illustrated, but it also has those three sort of strands of the vision there. So yeah, big thank you to Mandy for that as well. Okay, so I think we'll move into a chance for you to ask questions. So any questions that you have, either around the vision or around the fundraising and anything that I've sort of shared during that first part. Maybe if the council members could come towards the front, and if you are online and you're in the council, if you could turn your cameras back on, and perhaps actually Mandy could spotlight them. So that's Paul, Joe Tidder, I'm not sure who else is online. Okay, so Connor's got a question. I'm going to repeat it after you said it, Connor.
Yes, I wonder if you might expand a little bit more on the inclusivity that you mentioned there, because certainly mentioned in there wasn't a whole lot sort of more from the practical side of what we intend to do about sort of accessibility, inclusivity, all the other good stuff that is included in that.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any sort of existing plans and how we might look.
Yeah. So Connor, for those of you on Zoom, was asking about the area of diversity, inclusivity, accessibility. And he was asking whether we actually have any plans, sort of more practical plans about what we might want to do to move towards that vision.
Probably say a bit if you want. So yeah, so kind of we've got a diversity circle, which has started, well, it might have been even a year ago. It started or 6 months ago anyway. So that's gotten started. One of the things they're doing there is pulling together a lot of different ideas of what we can do, and what there's some real resources in the movement of people who are much better at this than we are. How to reach out to people and how to bring more people in who are different from us sitting here. I know Kusla Devi as well has been talking to the chairs of a couple of other centers who are also very interested in this, and bring ideas together there. And again, with all of these areas, there's going to be more specifics coming out as we kind of sort of prioritize what specifics we want to definitely do. So.
Yeah, maybe I can say a little bit. Yeah, I suppose this is one of the areas we've been really conscious of for a while. So in some ways I can't give you specifics about what the next steps will be, but I can maybe draw out some of what has happened over the last sort of year. I suppose it's a year. So there's not only the diversity circle, there's also the people of color group, which Ari Varchin's started and has been growing very steadily actually, and it's sort of at the point where it's about to become a bit more kind of public, I suppose. So previously it's been sort of more by invitation, but yeah, that's one thing that's been really successful actually, is only going to continue to grow, I think. Yeah, and even for us in the council, we've also been trying to sort of to learn and to sort of lay the groundwork for being more inclusive in the future. So we've had training around gender diversity in particular, and there's some sort of institutional stuff that's come out of that, which we're sort of in the process of putting in place. It won't be immediately obvious, but one example would be when we do introductory courses now, particularly on Zoom, we sort of encourage people to put their pronouns if they want to. There's sort of lots of small tweaks like that, which we're hoping will make the centre more welcoming to people who are identified differently.
Great, thank you. We've also spoken about sort of physical changes in the centre, so we're very aware that we don't have accessible toilets here. Also things like hearing loop. We were speaking about that just yesterday actually, weren't we, about the hearing loop and other ways that we might be able to support people who need a bit more support in various ways. So yeah, there's also obviously budget dependent areas that we are looking at as well. Yeah. Thanks, Connor. Morning.
Just wondering possibility of our women's community or maybe mixed communities. It's also so part around living opportunities for.
Yeah. So just repeat that for those of you on Zoom. So Morna was asking about communities and the possibility of having a women's residential community or even possibly a mixed residential community, so that there's more sort of parity around yeah, all genders being able to live in that situation or community if they wanted to. Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I think there's, you know, historically it has been a men's community here, and that, you know, that is a particular condition that we have here, and that does make it a bit more difficult for a women's community to start, because you would have to form, and as you know, Holly and I did do that in Sherwood before she moved to Taraloka. Yeah, I think definitely as a council we would support any of that. Like if there were people who were interested and wanting to do that, I think we'd want to support in whatever way we could. I don't quite know how that would look, so it'd have to be that there's a group of people that are ready and want to do that and are able to do it as well in some way. But we would certainly be able to sort of support the forming of that with the experience that we have, you know, both experience of many of us of actually living in communities, but also, yeah, the experience that we've had here of being a landlord to the community here as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, when I had that conversation with Morna, we talked for hours about it. Just the question, there's no rules, is there, about community really? It's a group of people wanting to live together and practice together, really. That creates a community. So there's no rules that it should be just men, just women, or mixed. There's no real rules. So it's what's needed really, what people want to do together. And I think also it's not a given that the community up here, the place here above the center, that it will always be a men's community. I mean, it could be, there might be more women wanting to live together and that place might become that, yeah, or a mix. There's again, that is possible, yeah, but also we might extend the center into and find places somewhere else, yeah, for people to live together. All that, isn't it, is possibilities. And I think, yeah, the council is totally behind communities being created, because they're really quite strong bundles of energy, I think, and inspiration for a Sangha. So there you go. Anybody else? No?
I just wanted to invite, in case any of the council members on Zoom wanted to share anything. So I know that Paul and I think Jyotika are on Zoom.
Yeah, I'm really excited by having a women's community. It's been something that, not the fact that Eve was living with me for a while and I wanted to get her out of the house, but I did actually, I did think having a women's community would be a fantastic thing. And I think it's actually looking at it from different perspectives as well. I can hear my own voice, it's very weird. But it's supporting women that come to the centre to have that vision and confidence to actually go and do something like this, to set up their own communities, to have the support and the backing by the people we're all at the centre of the Sangha, having that support of that and encouraging that. So it's something about creating those opportunities. And I think I've seen in the past year or so, past couple of years, this sort of real energy buzzing at the centre, young energy. And it's something to be really encouraged. And I think it's about, helping people use that energy to go and tie it in with things like ethical livelihood, creating businesses in Nottingham, doing something extraordinary about creating actually something to work and to live as Sanghas. And yeah, that's something I would think really, we've got a history of doing that. And I think in Nottingham, we can create something like that. So yeah, I'd be excited to see this moving forward personally. And anything as a centre we can do to help that, I'm sure it will.
Yeah, I would add to that, Jyotika. I think it feels like something which is missing in Nottingham, and I think it would be very warmly welcomed and strongly supported as well, actually. If you look at the amount of support that people give the centre really generously, I think a lot of people would want to see it. And I think if it's probably just a case of getting the ball rolling. But yeah, I think it'd be an amazing thing to have.
Great, thank you both. Yeah, great. Any questions? Any other questions here or from Zoom?
We've got a question on Zoom from
Okay.
Wendy.
Yeah, go for it.
Wendy asked the question, will you be reaching out to the county of Nottinghamshire? I'm in Mansfield and I find it hard to get to the centre.
Ah, interesting. Well, yeah, just like I was saying, Wendy, we haven't yet quite, we've not got down to that, like the specifics of what our priorities are going to be, because as you can hear, that vision is quite big and quite broad, but we only have limited resources. We have a small team and we have not very much, well, no really spare money. The money that we have is kind of like doing what it needs to do. But having said that, we do want to really reach out to communities that need it. And, you know, we're very aware there's areas like even Derby at the moment doesn't have a Buddhist centre, and that's quite a big city. Yeah, Mansfield, like you say, Wendy, and Nottinghamshire. There is so much potential, which we would, like those of us on the council, we're often like, oh, we'd really love to do it, but we are limited with our resources and with our time and with our money. So I guess in a way that's partly why we're sort of doing this appeal, is like it'd be great if we can certainly support another order member or more, so that people can, perhaps we could have someone who, for example, might be dedicated to doing outreach, or that might be one of the areas that they focus on. So yeah, it's sort of resource dependent, but yeah, we'd love to be able to do something in Mansfield and beyond. Yeah, it is just us looking really at where our priorities lie and what we can do with the resources we've got, and just being quite wise with that, I think. Yeah. Do you want to say anything, Shantika? No.
Yeah, can I say something?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think this. What are you laughing at? What I think with the online stuff that's happened, you know, recently with COVID, it's really helped us to reach out further. And for people like even now, Wendy, you online now, and myself online, to go and connect to the Sangha. And I think that's something that, you know, I think we've got to carry on doing this, because it's such a vital resource to people, from people like Tom in Lincoln and all sorts of people, for us to go and connect in the Sangha. So something about us sort of continue with that and trying to keep developing that, because it's a very fluid and changing way for us all to go and keep connected and accessing the Nottingham Sangha in a different way. And that's just one aspect. But there's also, like Kusdev said, you know, if we can go and get extra teaching support at the centre, we can start to have, you know, retreats at the centre, longer day retreats, weekend retreats, so people could travel and spend a bit more intensive time at the centre. Or we can even arrange to have places outside the centre, meeting points. So yeah, it's a very open field and potentially quite rich what we could go and do. And I do feel it's like one of these things, once the ball starts going and we start getting more people coming to the centre, we get more dana, we get more chance to support people, it will all start to be, you know, the opportunity starts to expand even more. So yeah, it's quite exciting to go and look forward to reaching out further in the future.
Yeah, thanks, Jyotida. That's an interesting point, actually, and touches in on the accessibility thing as well. How we've really adapted to being able to offer things online, which we did really quickly and quite well during that pandemic period. And it's great. We would never have thought that we'd been able to do that, but it means that people who can't get to the centre for a variety of reasons, or who have children or health reasons, or who live further, like they can actually still just access the Sangha, and that's brilliant. That's really working.
Jane's got a hand up.
Jane.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. I mean, actually, it was really pretty much what you've just said, which was that I was wondering, and a little bit like Jyotida was saying, is wouldn't it be an idea to have as part of the strategy developing the online Sangha?
Yeah.
Because of its accessibility, you know, everything in terms of diversity. It allows far more people to connect with the Nottingham Sangha, and I really appreciate the the desire to get people physically into the building and the sense of emotional connection that might come with face-to-face meetings. But I do feel that perhaps investing in continuing with an online strategy does actually make the centre a lot more accessible, that more people can come, and also can come more regularly than if it was, say, well, the priority is for face-to-face meetings in the building. And I can completely understand the preference for that in terms of building emotional connections. But I do sort of feel with the pandemic, we've kind of gone through something, right? So we've all been pushed with this technology to find a different way of networking and connecting with each other. And I feel it might be an idea to have that as a strategy, is to keep building that, although I do appreciate it's resource intensive in its own way. Yeah. So
thanks, Jane. Yeah, it's not by any means that we're thinking, in a way, like when I talk about the centre, I'm including the online stuff. Actually, it's not just the physical centre. It's definitely in our strategy already to continue with the online. We've all agreed that that's been such a boon to be able to connect people from other parts of the country and even sometimes world. So yeah, we'll definitely be continuing with the online stuff. Again, it's just like, where do we put our priorities in terms of whether, what we can develop? But actually the online stuff is actually quite an easy way for us to keep. It's a fairly easy way because we've got quite good at it now, quite sort of efficient at it. So I think that's a fairly easy way for us to continue sort of offering that. So we'll definitely be continually offering that. And like you say, there is that balance of physically being in the centre. So we are doing this hybrid introductory course at the moment. So we're inviting some groups, every group within that introductory course will be able to come physically to the centre at least one of the weeks of the course. And last night, like, it was just so lovely. It made such a difference to people that were here, didn't it? For them to actually be physically in the centre. But at the same time, there's people who couldn't physically come and we were still able to offer it to them. So it just felt a really good balance to be able to kind of like welcome people here and still be reaching others. Yeah. Claire, you've got your hand up. Yeah, Claire's had her hand up for a while.
Yeah, kind of links to it. I like the fact that hybrid improves accessibility, but I think this is maybe a more long-term option. But the one thing I really miss that's not in the centre is family, is children, younger people. It feels like it's always felt like a huge gap for me, and it is a real barrier, particularly for women, not exclusively for women, but also for people that are single parents. And I know barrier, I would have been coming to the centre at a different point, but there's a long period of my life when it wasn't an easy option, and I just would love to see a space where we could change that. I think that would be really important.
Thanks, Claire. That's really important. And actually, just thinking about Rachel, like Teddy and Owen. I got out then. I was like, I got it wrong. Teddy and Owen are like much older now, but I remember like your Mitch ceremony and things where they were in the shrine room, and having like children in the shrine room is just like, it's a beautiful thing and really sort of rich. It brings a lot. And Claire, also being able to have mums online accessing stuff in the last year, I felt really moved by that. Mums who have even been like feeding their children while they're like with us. It's just, that's been very beautiful. And actually with things like that, in a way, like anyone in the Sangha who thinks, I'd love to set up a group for families or something like that, come and speak to any one of us in the council, and we would really support that vision. Like, we might not be able to have the resources ourselves to set up all of these things, but if there's enough people who have the kind of time and experience and are willing to sort of work a bit with us to work out the logistics, then we would really, really love to support that. Thank you for bringing that in, Claire.
I can remember.
Oh, there he is. We also used to have first. Is Joe today? or
Yeah,
not?
yeah. Oh, you go.
We also used to have school visits, but of course they stopped. Rachel was one of the instigators of that, or holding those. And it's another way of bringing kids into the building, isn't it? And yeah, anyway, just wanted to say that. Lovely to see that again.
I'm just aware of time. It is past past. I know that Connor had a question, I think, but I think it's probably best if we wind it up. But do any of you, if you've got any questions about the vision or anything else about the centre, just send an email to the centre email address, and Gareth will cleverly, or Mel will cleverly sort of forward it on to wherever it needs to go. So yeah, just feel free to get in touch. So yeah, I think just a big thank you. It's really, really lovely to have so many people here. If you're on Zoom, if you could stay a little bit longer, because I just want to have a little scroll through the screen and just sort of say hello to you all. So if you could stay for like just a minute or something. But yeah, just a reminder to please just give financially if you can, like it will just make such a big difference. So yeah, I think you've all got the details, or we'll get them in the next few days. And what we'll do is we'll run this fundraising appeal until the first week in December, and then we'll let you know how successful that's been and how much we've been able to raise as a Sangha. So yeah, just a big thank you, everyone. I'm going to pop over onto Zoom.
And thank you to the council and to Rachel.
Thank you, Gareth.